Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we're going to discuss clauses and clause complexes. In traditional grammar, we refer it as sentence. So in GMD or in functional grammar, or in traditional grammar, we know word, phrase, and sentences. But in functional grammar, we call it word, group, and clause. So to begin with, let's discuss minor and major clauses. Usually minor clauses have no predicator, while major clauses have predicator. For example, hi, that's minor clauses. But major clauses, I go to school, that's major clauses. Greetings can also be considered as minor clauses. And the next one is, if we talk about major clauses, there are independent clauses and dependent clauses. I believe that you all learned this kind of clauses in traditional grammar, where independent clauses can stand alone and dependent clauses cannot. And in independent clauses, we have to see non-elliptical versus elliptical. In linguistics, we are introduced to ellipsis or elliptical sentences, like if non-elliptical, so the clause is complete. If it is elliptical, then there's something omitted from that clause. For example, the question, where were you born? That's non-elliptical because the question is complete, the clause is complete, while elliptical is like the answer from the answer from the question is where were you born, and the answer might be in Semarang. Then in Semarang is elliptical because the complete clause can be I was born in Semarang, but we can say in Semarang, then that's elliptical. So when someone say, where were you born? I was born in Semarang. That's non-elliptical, but you answer only in Semarang, that's elliptical. Or for example, have you had breakfast? Yes. So yes is elliptical, but the question is non-elliptical. And now we need also to differentiate between dependent clauses, between one which is embedded and one which is non-embedded. So first let's see, yes, in traditional grammar, dependent and independent clauses. Independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, expresses complete thought. So for example, in coordination, by using fanboys for and nor, but, or, yet, so, then we combine two independent clauses. But with subordination, there must be the dependent clause. For example, I don't know where she comes. So where she comes is a dependent clause. He said that she was fine. It's dependent clause. The clauses which are bold here are dependent clauses because they can stand alone. Okay, next one is about embedded and non-embedded. So dependent clauses can be embedded and non-embedded. So what's the difference? Let's see. In non-embedded, for example, I bought you a chocolate to make you happy. But in embedded, I don't know things to make you happy. So to make you happy here in the first sentence is not to specify a chocolate, but it modifies the whole sentence. Then it's non-embedded. But here, to make you happy is or refers to things. So it is embedded to things. So to make you happy here is not to modify the whole clauses. So it is embedded, and the first sentence, I got you chocolate to make you happy, that's non-embedded. Okay, I forgot one thing, that in dependent clauses not only use non-clause, that clause, infinitive clause, yes, infinitive clause, adverbial clause, and relative clause, but we can also it includes also gerund, like the use of present participle. For example, I love playing football. Then playing football can be considered as a dependent clause. Or going to school is my activity every day. That's going to school, that's dependent clause. Okay, the next example is non-embedded in relative clause. The student who attended the class submitted the assignment. Or in embedded, the students who attended the class submitted the assignment. In the first sentence here, in embedded 1, the student who attended the class submitted the assignment. While the second one, the students who attended the class submitted the assignment. So usually, this in traditional grammar refers to non-restrictive, where this clause is just to give additional information, which is not really important. But this one functions to specify the students, so this one is embedded. So in traditional grammar, we call it as restrictive relative clause, but this one is non-restrictive relative clause. So usually in writing, we can see that there are commas. But in spoken language, we usually use pause before this clause. For example, the students who attended the class submitted the assignment. It is different from the embedded clause. The students who attended the class submitted the assignment. Okay. The next one, okay, we'll see what is a complex clause. Complex clause is the term in functional grammar or functional linguistics, used for grammatical and semantic unit form when two or more clauses link together in certain systematic and meaningful ways. Okay, in traditional grammar, we call it as complex and compound sentences. So in traditional grammar, we call it complex and compound sentences, but in functional grammar, in GMD, we call it as clause complex. In this course, in grammar meaning in this course, we call it clause complex. And simple sentences refers to clause complex in this course. And there are two systems in clause complexes. The first one, the tactic system, that describes the interdependency relationship between clauses linked into a clause complex. So there are prataxis and hypotaxis. Prataxis refers to when uh, two clauses linked together, but their position are equal. Their positions are equal. In parataxis, usually we use coordination, like use and, but, or, and something like that. But in hypotaxis, this is when one uh, one clause is dependent on the other. This is what's called subordination in traditional grammar. This one is coordination. This one, hypotaxis, refers to subordination, where one clause is subordinate to the other clause, or one clause is dependent on the other clause. And then there is also a logico-semantic system that describes specific type of meaning relationship between linked clauses. Okay, there is projection. One that can be projected is locution, an idea, or expansion. Expansion includes elaboration, extension, and enhancement. We're going to see these systems one by one. The first one, okay, see this graph or this figure, class complex. There's taxes, parataxis. In parataxis, we use number 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. In hypotaxis, we use alpha, beta, Charlie, and so on and so forth. We use Greek letters. In logico-semantic relation, we have projection, one that can be projected, locution, wording, or idea, meaning. And in expansion, there are elaboration, extension, and enhancement. So, for example, in parataxis, I told you earlier that in parataxis we call it, it refers to coordination, then we use and. So these two clauses are equal. That's parataxis. But in hypotaxis, this clause is subordinate to the other one. This is subordinate to this clause because this one specifies the car. That's hypotaxis. We refer it as subordination. And projection. In projection, there are two things that can be projected. The first one, locution. He said, N is fine. The symbol is what is it? Quotation mark. And we can also project ideas. He thought to himself. We use apostrophe. Everything is going to be fine. So let's get back first. In locution, the symbol is quotation mark. In ideas, apostrophe. It's also in elaboration, equality symbol. This one's plus, and this one multiplication symbol. Okay, let's go on. So don't forget, usually locution, because it's something that we say, it has something to do with verbal process that you will learn in next meeting about transitivity. And idea has something to do with mental process. This mental process, and then this one is verbal process. And in expansion, there are elaboration, extension, and enhancement. So elaboration has something to do with restatement, or we can exemplification or specify something. So for example, Tito did not come to the meeting, he ran away. So this one is elaboration. This one is elaborate the previous clause. It is to specify the previous clause. The next example is that clock doesn't go, it's not working. It's like a restatement to it, to the previous clause. And here extension has something to do with giving additional information to the previous clause. For example, Tito did not come to the meeting and everyone was disappointed. So here the indication and, so that's extension. Here in addition, it adds this clause. In addition is friendly, adds additional information about the clause in PriceSmart. And enhancement, the clause gives information about circumstantial information, like temporal, about time, for example, cause and effect. It can be also conditional. It is Tito was sick, so he left the class earlier. So it shows us the causal and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship, like so he left the class earlier is the effect of Tito was sick. So the next one, I was waiting for her until she came. It indicates time. And it also, although English is difficult, he managed to finish the course. It's concessive. So in short, elaboration is a restatement giving specific information, not specify what is stated before, and then extension about additional information to the previous one, to the previous clause, and then enhancement giving circumstantial information, why, when, how, and something like that. That's about clause complexes. So I have a practice for you to divide this text into clauses. The first text is wish to save the world, eat bugs. You have to eat bugs to wish, if you wish to save the world. So please divide this text into clauses. You can just put, for example, only you can just give it different color, or you can just enter. Okay, it's all up to you. And this one is connected to the previous text, to the previous paragraphs. Okay, and the last one is the preface from M.A.K. Halliday. Okay, that's about it. Thank you, everyone.